All right, this is our last session of the day and kind of a favorite one of mine. It's entitled Opportunities to Get Involved with NAF. Before we get into it, I want to let you all know that we don't want you to get involved with us. We need you to get involved with us. And we hope that we have enough information here that will spark some interest or spark some questions that you'll be able to submit to us today. And by all means, if we don't get to your questions today, trust that we will get to them in the very near future. Once again, this session is entitled Opportunities to Get Involved with the National Ataxia Foundation. We have 4 presenters for this session. The first is my colleague, Lori Sjogren. Lori's been with the foundation for 16 years and currently serves as our Community Program and Services Director. Lori will be joined by Stephanie Wilkins. Stephanie's been the Kansas City area support group leader since 2016. Following their presentation, I'll be joined by Mike DeRosa. Mike is an Army veteran of more than 23 years. Mike was diagnosed in 2012, fully retired in 2015, and became a member of NAF in 2016. Let's head out to Lori and Stephanie. Lori, take it away.
Hi, it's a pleasure to be here with Stephanie Wilkins, who's the Kansas City Ataxia Support Group leader. Welcome, Stephanie.
Hi, Lori. I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad that you're here with us as well. We're both excited to talk with you all about the programs that we offer here at the National Ataxia Foundation. First, we'd like to discuss our network of support groups. As you can see on this map, we have support groups in most U.S. states, a few international groups, and a few groups just for adults, parents, spouses, military members, and African Americans. Contact information for our support groups can be found on NAF's website. Support group meetings and events can be found on the event calendar on NAF's website as well. So for me, the most valuable benefit of getting involved within a support group is having a chance to talk with others and learn how different people are living with the same disease. Stephanie, as the co-leader for the Kansas City Ataxia Support Group, what benefits do you and your members receive from the support group, and what is your experience as a support group leader?
Well, that's a really good question, Lori. Thank you. I think the best thing for us has been access to the Ataxia website. And we've learned and grown, and we started as the KC Wobblers. About 6 years ago is when my co-leader, Lori Colby, and I took over. But really, we're the first support group that NAF ever sponsored. And we've learned so many things. We started out with, like I said, 10 people. We now have 63. Lori's our fun fundraiser. And we've learned this by experiencing together. I'm the computer person and the admin and the email person. So between us, 2 eyes are, 2 heads are better than 1, and 4 eyes are better. So we always back each other up. So we've learned that was really important. We also learned that we can go to the website and find all our events, even when we forget them ourselves. And we have links on the Ataxia website too. Some of our people use Facebook, so we've created a Facebook page. We email always, but we sometimes call because we have about 5 people that don't do any computer work. So it's been great fun though. We started off really slow, but we now are moving very fast, having Ataxia picnics, and all that sponsorship comes from you. So we've been really, really appreciative of that. So we are a good group of fun people now.
Thanks so much, Stephanie. You and Lori really do run such a supportive group there in Kansas City. We hope all of you out there get connected with a support group in your area, or you can contact me about starting a support group. And now we'll talk a little bit about advocacy. Next slide, please. Advocating for those affected by ataxia is an important part of the mission here at the National Ataxia Foundation. We're now providing community members with more opportunities to get involved with advocacy. Involvement in advocacy gives us a way to get your stories to policymakers, government agencies, and pharmaceutical companies to grow awareness, accelerate drug development, and ensure access to care and treatment services. Two highly successful advocacy events NAF held last year was a Hill Day that included meetings with several U.S. Senate offices and a patient-focused drug development meeting with the FDA. The Hill Day event resulted in the U.S. Senate passing the first ever National Ataxia Awareness Day resolution. Stephanie, you were an advocate that participated in both advocacy activities. Tell us about your experience participating in these events.
Well, great. First of all, I learned a lot. I also got to join our sister city, St. Louis, and their support group, and I learned a lot from them. But I know that if we all do our own story, we put faces to the problems and the challenges that we have. And now the senators and representatives of the Hill Day will have a person when they're advocating or trying to get awareness for solutions for us. Also for the FDA, the employee, well, it wasn't employee, it was externally led. I start making up the acronyms. Externally led, patient-focused drug development team. We really learned a lot that they needed. They wanted to hear from us. They don't need facts, they need people. And so it was really successful when we all got together.
Well, thank you so much for sharing those experiences and being such a dedicated advocate, Stephanie. More information for you all about advocacy activities and how you can get involved can be found on NAF's website at the link that you see there on the slide. Well, next slide, please. To me, one of the most fun ways to get involved with the National Ataxia Foundation is to attend an annual Ataxia Conference, also known as the AAC. The AAC is the largest multi-day gathering of the ataxia community. And this is your event to see old friends, make new friends, and hear from the leading ataxia experts. We're so glad that so many of you are joining us here this year virtually. And Stephanie, please talk about what you like most about attending the annual Ataxia conferences.
Well, Lori, we finally got to go to one. My husband, Michael, and I went to one in San Antonio. I think that was 2016. And I was shocked. I was like, wow, look at all these people, worldwide people. I think I met people from Wales and UK, and I met doctors, and the logistics of the marketplace were great. I got to try some products I had been thinking of buying. That was fun. Dinner was great, but all the people I met there, I still know today. And we could put a face to people like yourself. I had never met you in person. So I got to do that, and it was great fun. I also met Shannon Dunphy from St. Louis, and she started the St. Louis Support Group. We also talked Cal Berkeley into coming to Kansas City, remote labs and research, and they had never done that before. So we told them we'd have 12 patients for them, and they came and they paid all of our participants, and they have done that 2 years in a row, and we continue to do online surveys for them. So we made a lot of contacts.
That's great. Thanks for that feedback, Stephanie. And it was a real pleasure meeting you in person as well. One of my favorite parts of the conference too, is seeing so many folks in person that we talked to over the course of the year. Everyone out there, please be on the lookout for more information on NAF's website about future conferences, and we hope to see you all at a future conference and to visit with you during this year's conference as well. All right, next slide, please. Now let's tell you about our webinars. We have been getting so much positive feedback about the webinars that we have held. NAF has hosted over 20 webinars of topics of interest to the ataxia community. We plan to continue to hold these webinars and welcome your suggestions on topics for future webinars, and you can submit those suggestions to me or to the general NAF email, which is naf@ataxia.org. Stephanie, what webinars have you found most helpful to attend?
Well, I try and go to a lot of them, especially now because of this COVID environment. They're really beneficial. But the three I like best, you've got right on the screen, the Adaptive Recreation panel, and that was brought to us by Linda Snyder or Dr. Snyder or set that up. And that was really fun, showing all of us how we could do outdoor adaptive recreation. The other two were the research. I think it's why participate in a clinical trial. And I did participate and I learned a lot from those doctors and a lot of fact versus fiction. Also, I listened to the occupational therapists. They weren't PT, occupational therapists. And that one was really good. It was on independent living and ideas to put in your home to make it much easier for us to get around. So I learned a lot. Thank you.
Well, those are helpful webinars to check out. Thank you, Stephanie, for talking about those. Recordings of NAF's webinars can be found on NAF's website at the link that you see there on the slide and on demand here in the virtual conference platform. Next slide, please. One important way to get involved with the National Ataxia Foundation is to become a member. NAF membership is free, and your membership not only keeps you informed, but it helps our mission and our community by having as many of those affected by ataxia as possible represented. As an NAF member, you receive invitations to live webinars, monthly e-newsletters, the Generations newsletter, research opportunity notices, local support group notices, and community event notices. Stephanie, how has being a member of NAF helped you to be informed and involved?
Well, first of all, the key word I think is free membership, because I was trying to get a lot of our people to join and they have challenges in that area. So now they don't have that challenge anymore. So they have free membership and they get the live webinars is the key thing for me, because we get the invitation if you are a member and you can ask your questions live back and forth and hear the answers. And like you said, they're recorded, but it's better to be there right in person and ask your questions. We get Generations. Those are so fun because of all the pictures of all the doctors and all the people there at NAF and us on our walk and rolls in our picnics. So we see there's a lot of activity across our state and the whole country. So we've really improved membership to NAF because people were afraid to join. And now they can go there and find out when our meetings are and when some of those next research opportunities are. So we really appreciate it. Thank you.
That's great. Thank you, Stephanie, for being a member. Everyone can become a member right now on NAF's website. So we welcome you all to become members of the National Ataxia Foundation. Next slide, please. All right, so perhaps the most important way to get involved with the National Ataxia Foundation is participating in research. As much participation as possible is vital to end ataxia. Your participation matters, and it matters now more than ever before because now we have clinical trials being conducted. You can find details on ways to get involved with research on NAF's website. These opportunities include signing up for the CORDS patient registry, clinical trials, research studies, the natural history study, and the brain tissue donation program. And just a note about the Sanford Coordination for Rare Diseases Ataxia Patient Registry, also known as CORDS. Joining the Sanford CORDS Ataxia Patient Registry is separate from becoming a member of the National Ataxia Foundation. You must complete the Sanford registration form to join the Ataxia Patient Registry. and the link to join is on NAF's website. Stephanie, you have joined the CORDS Ataxia Patient Registry, participated in the Natural History Study, and Biohaven Clinical Trial. How did you find out about these opportunities, and what was involved with signing up for the registry and participating in the studies and clinical trial?
Well, I'm really glad, first of all, that you explained CORDS is a separate registration, because I did find that on the Ataxia website. And for a long time, our group did not know NAF membership and CORDS were separate registrations. CORDS is a patient-led, patient-enrolled registry, and they're the ones who found me with what I qualified for, and I could take the Biohaven trial, and I did that for 1 year, a drug trial, and that's to help symptoms and work for that cure. So we do find a lot of the information once we enroll and register will be fed to us through email and keep everybody straight what they qualify for. So it's very, very helpful. I did go to the Ataxia Conference and ask about CORDS, and everybody said it is so confusing. So I knew that coming out of that conference, and I keep reminding our people, they're two separate registries. So that's great. I also was enrolled in Natural History Study with Dr. Perlman out at UCLA. I did find out about that one before I joined NAF, but everything else has been since NAF membership. So it's been great. And we're not going to talk about brain tissue donation right now, but I have signed up for that, and hopefully in the end that will work too.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing your experience, Stephanie. That's really helpful for us to share with others. And I encourage everyone out there in the community to also consider participating in research as you're eligible and getting involved with the National Ataxia Foundation. And we're here to help and answer any of your questions that you have about getting involved or participating in any way. So feel free to reach out to us anytime with any questions. Thanks so much, Stephanie, for being here with me and talking with me about all of the programs at NAF and for all that you do for the ataxia community.
Thank you. I'm happy to do it.
And now I'll invite Joel Sutherland, our development director, to discuss our fundraising opportunities. Thank you all.
Hey, Lori, Stephanie, what a great presentation. Really a lot of things, a lot of opportunities for everybody in our community to get involved with, from advocacy to our support groups and ambassadors. Hey, really nice presentation. Thanks so much. And you know what? I'm going to present another opportunity for you right now. It's a program that we call Passion Fundraising. And, it's really something that has really, a lot of people have really latched onto it. It's an opportunity where people can use not their heads to think of what they'd like to do, but their hearts. What's something that you'd like to do to help move the mission of the National Ataxia Foundation forward? We have several examples that we'd like to share with you. I mean, just on top line, we have our Pittsburgh support group each year that puts on a golf tournament. We have one of our volunteers, one of our great volunteers in Southern California, Jane Jaffe, who puts on a traditional tea. We've had people put on parties. People have done poker walks. All sorts of things that people love to do to help move the mission of the National Ataxia Foundation forward. And by moving it forward, I mean by raising funds, raising awareness about ataxia and what people who live with ataxia go through on a daily basis. And by doing all of these events, you're actually energizing our community as well. So with that, I want to tell you a brief story. A couple of years ago, in fact, my first year when I joined the foundation, it had been 2016, and I was just on the job. I was able to attend my first Annual Ataxia Conference in Orlando, where we're going to be next year. So then our next conference was in Philadelphia. And I got word that a gentleman, Mike DeRosa, was trying to connect with me. And I remembered the name, but I couldn't remember where I remembered it from. And well, lo and behold, couple hours later, Mike and I were finally able to connect. And Mike was able to share with me something that truly was a passion fundraising event. Without any further ado, let me introduce to you from North Carolina and a member of our taxi community, Mike DeRosa. Mike, hey, share that story.
Hey Joe. Hey Joe, how you doing?
Good.
And hello, Ataxia Nation. So glad that I was able to join you today. Though we're not together, we will be together next year, the same place that Joe and I connected, and that's Orlando. So hopefully we can all get together and have an adult beverage together and have a good old time talking about what's going on in the last 2 years. So, Joe had talked about how we met. And so in Philadelphia, we reconnected, and I told him that something I had wanted to do for a number of years, but was unable to because of my deployments in the military, and that was to conduct the Baton Memorial Death March. I had always wanted to do that, and I was having trouble years prior with my gait issues, and little by little, walking a little more all the time, and just getting strong legs. It helped me get to where I wanted to go, and that was New Mexico, to do this hike. And it's 26.2 miles. And I said, well, I want to do something for the foundation. So I conducted 2 separate fundraisers. One was on Facebook, and that went directly to the foundation. And the other was a GoFundMe. And because I wanted to hopefully meet with Joe in Philadelphia, and we did. And I presented Joe with a check for $6,000. And that felt so good. 1, completing it, but 2, it's like sweat equity, right? Put the hard work in, and the end was just terrific. And handing Joe that check felt really good, that that was going to the foundation, because everything that we do, our end state is to find the cure, make life better and easier for the nation, Ataxia Nation. And then we just, every year since then, we've been getting together and planning an event. And
Mike, you're being a little too humble here. Let me tell you, Mike had a career in the military, and during his time, he really wanted to do the Baton Death March in New Mexico, 26.2 miles. This is several years after being diagnosed with ataxia. He took that time and really put his heart into it. And he did the hike. He raised $6,000. And then we met we made a friend in Philadelphia, and you did it again, Mike.
Yeah. Funny story is, yes, I live in North Carolina. I've been here nearly 32 years, something like that. But I'm originally from Rhode Island. And so I still have, I guess, somewhat of an accent. And Joe, I guess, could not distinguish the difference. He's like, I got somebody I want you to meet. I know a guy, right? So this gentleman named Ed Brand from New York, in the White Plains area, he and I got together and just started talking about a lot of things. And the march came up, and Ed was interested. It piqued his interest. He had never done anything like that. Never was in the military. Never did like hikes. And so the more Ed and I discussed and chatted, and I was trying to entice him to come and join me. One of those days, Ed was like, Mike, I'm in. And so Ed and I got with Joe, and we put together a campaign, and that was the Joint Mission Baton. And it's a great campaign. It served us very well the last 2 years. But the year that Ed and I marched or hiked together, we were able to raise over $35,000. And last year, Joe and Ed and myself, and we got others involved, and this thing grew, didn't it, Joe?
Yeah, it did. It's last year through Mike's efforts and Ed and my colleagues at NAF, we've had 30 people scheduled to take part in the Joint Mission Baton event in Las Cruces. And unfortunately, it was, it got caught up in that nationwide virus and what we've been living with for the last 11, 12 months now, and that was canceled. But we'd raised over $215,000 for that event last year. And not only that, we had 30 people across the country in 30 separate states sharing their stories and talking to folks about ataxia. So it was a great program.
It was.
It was wonderful. And now for this year, Mike and a group of volunteers are working on another program in a similar manner. Once again, just based on the passion that he and these volunteers have had for this event. So Mike, maybe you want to share a few words on what you have going this year.
Sure. I would like to just go back and touch just briefly on previous years, because I set a mission for myself, and I told that to Joel in Las Vegas. And I said, this is only the beginning. And I had made a promise in my spreading awareness campaign that I would conduct a hike at least 10 miles in every single state and one in every continent. And although last year, we already know about 2020, so that kind of put a damper on the plan. But so far to date, I've been able to get to 8 states and 2 continents. And, I got to tell you, Joel, all across the United States and internationally, I made over 1,000 friends connecting to me, me connecting to them because of other person that we both know. And it's been great. It's been great. I mean, I'm talking right now with, we're joking, but I want to make it happen, to Alan Thomas in Wales, who's with the Ataxia and me, and to go over to Wales and do a hike with Alan in any capacity. Stuff like this is great, because then people see, because I wear a taxi t-shirt. I have numerous of those, and people ask me. I mean, even the first year at the Baton Memorial Death March, I've got my t-shirt on. It's got ataxia on there, and people are asking me about it. So that gives me a platform to just spread awareness. And I can tell you that I received donations. By the time I finished the hike, I had donations in my GoFundMe because of those talkings. So fast forward to here we are in 2021, a great number of people I am associated with on this formation of putting together a hike. We've come together and we did our research and we found the location. And this year we changed the name and a little bit of the format, because it's not directly related to the military. Is called Country Skies Extreme Hike. And this will be conducted in Hendersonville, Tennessee, which is only less than a 30-minute drive from Nashville. So good times to be had, conducting the march, talking about ataxia, spreading ataxia awareness, and still being able to go see the neon lights and the honky tonks and just having a good old time.
Well, that sounds good, Mike. And if anybody listening to this today wants to get involved, I'm sure you can reach out to Mike and find a way to get involved with it. Mike, you bring up a good point. I mean, you've been able to meet a lot of people around the country, been able to see a lot of things. It's I think it's been a great example for a lot of the folks to just think of what you as an individual might want to do. Mike thought about this during about doing the Joint Mission Baton or taking part in the Baton Death March while he was in the military. And that's really, it's really taken off. But you might have something else that you'd like to do. You know, some people like to bowl. Some people just want to have a dinner party. There's so many things you can do. And I think the one thing that Mike and I both want to leave you with today is, you know, it's not that we want you to get involved with us. We need you to. And I think there's many people in this community that have jumped in with this, have really enjoyed getting involved. And it's best, don't sit on the sideline. Get involved with this. Jump in both feet. I think that you'll wind up meeting a lot more people. You'll have some great experiences. And like I said, we need you. We really do. And I know now, Mike, we're gonna head back to for an opportunity. We're gonna shut down our conversation, and we're gonna open this up for question and answers. But when it comes to passion fundraising, like I said, don't think about what to do with your head. Use your heart and know that we need you. Thanks so much. And now we're gonna head back and open up for question and answer.